Thank you for having me. I have had a very interesting trip to come here. I hope I don't screw up the next presentation because I prepared this half an hour ago. So if you don't like it, don't tell Tanya because she gets very angry. Who's tired, by the way? Who enjoyed what happened so far? Did you like the demos? Did you like the products? This is very serious, right? I hope you're curious about the title of the presentation, I Believe in the Horse. I'll explain that in a minute. I don't know about you, but I'm an old man. I have a couple of kids. I don't call them kids anymore. They are 17 and 18 years old. And for those two kids who are, by the way, the users and the consumers of the future, actually the users and the consumers of today, for those two kids, life is not as I grew up. To me, there was the world. You know, if they told me I was coming to Prague, I can imagine buildings and what have you. To them, it blurs completely. So to them, what happens is things come together in a very interesting way between the world and the World Wide Web. And to them, those things come together in a very confusing way for an old man like me. So today in the morning, what we've done, or in the beginning of the day, what we've done is we've tried to show you the consumer side of the internet, the user side of the internet, and how the internet is becoming truly massive on those four areas. You know, the information space, the entertainment space, the communication space, and the social space. It's becoming part of everything that we do. Everything on every minute of the day is now around the internet, and it's becoming massive. You know, Obi mentioned 2 billion people. We showed you how quickly Android is growing. You know, it's just so big and so fast. It's really mind-boggling. And as I go around my region and I meet with clients, the one thing that really, really interests me is when I meet clients that say, well, we're going to put some of our investment in the internet. You know, we're going to put a little bit of advertising there, but most of our ad spend is going to go into TV and print and what have you. And, you know, the internet is not ready for prime time yet, right? And if you're one of those, I think you should feel bad, because the analogy to me is this. That internet has driven a tremendous amount of business over the last few years, right? And if you think about it, people who have not caught up with this amount of business are people like the last emperor of Germany, who died in 1941 while still saying, I believe in the horse. The car is here, you know, it's just a temporary phenomenon. It's really not going to stay. Now, I'll tell you very openly, the internet is here to stay. And as a matter of fact, if you follow the people like him, actually, that's what they should go, they should get. If you follow the technology adoption curve that every technology in the world has followed, I'm using here TV, you know, print, radio, and other media platforms where advertising happens. You know, it really follows four spaces, 4 steps. Right? First, we build the technology. So we build broadcast TV. Then we fill it up with content. We have all those programs on it that make people very interested, so they start buying TVs in a very large number, and suddenly you have the user mass that allows you to advertise to them. Okay? And this happened on print with the printing press, it happened on radio, it happened on TV, and it's now happening on the internet. Right? So when you think about it, the internet today, with the tremendous amount of content that is happening on the internet, let me just leave you with one little piece of information. In 2000, between the day man was created, or evolved, or whatever you believe, until 2003, we created what we call 3 exabytes of information. This is the total wealth of human knowledge, right? Between then and now, we created 500 exabytes. In the last 7 years, we created more than we created in the history of the humanity by a factor of 60 to 70 times. Now, think about what's happening. That amazing amount of content is enabling advertising in a very different way. Just to show you what happens with this technology adoption curve, I'll follow the trends that a brand leader, one of the top advertisers in the world, have followed. When print was happening, they had black and white paper, and the way Coca-Cola advertised was on this ad down there called cocaine. It's a black and white ad, text, no graphics on it, and it says, Coke will make you feel good. It will make you feel fresh. When color advertising happened, the other ad said, we have a consistent quality, and it had a picture of Coke on it. Then they evolved. Let me show you what they did over the years. This is the 50s.
King-size Coca-Cola gives you that refreshing new feeling.
King-size Coca-Cola gives you that refreshing new feeling. Refreshing new feeling. Refreshing new feeling. Coke in the King has more for you. Coke in the King's your best buy, too. Coke in the King's the great big value. King-size Coke.
Yes, people would sing, go for Coke and the King. Because even after your first long drink, there's still lots more than you think.
So, think of yourself in the 50s. This was a revolution. Would you buy a Coke then? Absolutely. If you see this ad with the music and TV, you would be very happy. If I showed you this today, would you buy a Coke today? Probably not. This is what they did in the 70s. This is a 1971.
World a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I love to teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Harmony and harmony. I like to buy the world a Coke and keep them company. And the real I like to teach the world one thing. And harmony and me. And I like to buy the world a Coke and keep them company. It's the real thing.
So if you can relate to this ad, you're as old as I am. That's a bad sign. Now, the question is, at the time, peace, tranquility, and all of that, that was brilliant. I'd like to buy the world a Coke. I'd like to give the world some hope or whatever that is. Would you buy a Coke today with this ad? If you are brave enough to raise your hand, nobody. I find their next ad brilliant, the one they played in the 2009 Super Bowl.
I've been standing on the corner since a quarter after 7. I thought you were too good to be true. And then my cup of love was overflowing. I knew the stranger in the crowd, and I would be strangers no more.
So that ad was in HD, high definition. It was super quality graphics. It talked about the world that my kids live in. That virtual world where they have friends that they've never seen, they imagine them in freaky ways, and then they meet for the first time on a Coke. Brilliant, right? This is brand advertising as I see at its best. Now, Coke continued to evolve very, very strongly into the internet, and we'll show you some examples of what Coke does. Surprisingly, when nobody ever buys a Coke on the web, have you ever logged onto a commerce site and clicked on a $1 Coke? You never do that. There is no Coke on Amazon.com. They still are leading the way when it comes to brand advertising on the web. So let me try and share with you what are the 4 things, very quickly, that Coke realizes, and others, by the way, that make a huge difference when you're advertising on the web. And I'll go through those much quicker than I intended to, but I'll be available afterwards to discuss them with you. So one is the idea that buying starts way before the checkout. We ran a study in 2009 around Christmas time, around what user behavior leads to buying Christmas gifts, the holiday season. 85% of all holiday shoppers in the UK searched online. So 44% of them search online and buy online. Around 46% of them search online, decide, and then buy in store. around 19% of them search online, went to the store, held it in their hand, then went back and bought online. Okay? And around 12% visited the store and then went and bought online. Okay? Now, you have to understand that the buying decision is not about getting your credit card out. When you get your credit card out, you've already bought. Okay? The buying decision happens in the analysis, in the conviction that happens before that. And if you're not catching the clients when they're doing this, you're really missing on a huge opportunity. So please realize that buying happens much earlier than when people buy. The other thing is sad for marketeers, but good for geeks like myself. You know, the marketing world is getting taken over by nerds. The nerds are taking over. Let me show you a few examples. So I used, you know, typical marketing images down there. But we know in marketing that, you know, if a lot of people are doing the same thing or are interested in the same thing, then that thing must be good, right? We call that the wisdom of the crowds, right? If a lot of people want to buy a Coke now, then it must be very hot, or there must be a good reason for them to buy a Coke. Now, in Google, we get billions of those. We get billions of users that are searching and telling us, and telling you, by the way, what they like to do on minute-by-minute basis, on day-to-day. Okay? Now, we capture all of that and we give it away for free in a product that we call Insights for Search. And there are quite a few. There is Insights for YouTube, there are Google Trends, and so on. I'll give you a very quick
Google Insights for Search shows you what people are searching for, where they're searching, and when. You can spot trends and find out what people around the world are interested in. For example, where is surfing most popular? Using Google Insights for Search, we can see that Australia, New Zealand, and Portugal top the list. On the global map, Australia is the darkest, with the highest popularity for the search term surf. Click City, and Honolulu, Sydney, and Perth top the list. You could
So I'm not going to play the whole video, but I'll make the presentation available. What happens here is that people start to search for things they're interested in. We capture all of that and we give it away back to you. And as we do that, we start to be able to predict things that marketing research used to predict in a much more accurate way. We are able to forecast trends that have not happened yet, and we're able to give you a way to test how effective your marketing is doing. Let me show you some of the examples of those. One example is the Eurovision. Last year, we could predict the winner of the Eurovision real time with 1 percentage point error from the actual result. So not only did we pick the right winner, we picked the right winner with exactly how many people will vote for him. Okay? Just by following how many people searched for that song versus other songs. If you're a marketeer, you can now go and start to look at your own brands. Compare your brand categories, see how well shampoo is doing versus shaving, for example. You can see what are specific brands doing versus others, your brands or competitive brands, you know, Pampers versus whatever, okay? You can see where, in which countries in the world, or which cities or which regions, based on where, you know, on where those searches come from. You can see how the trends are. What are the top searches? You know, when people are searching for something that relates to the product Pampers, the word baby Pampers is the top search. The word Huggies is the second, right? But you also see some very interesting, on the right-hand side here, rising searches, such as SIS-free, a certain chemical that does not exist in shampoo when you're searching for a shampoo. As a marketeer, we had this conversation with P&G around a year and a half ago, and P&G was not really big on the internet. And basically what they did is they started to go to Google and search for those terms and see if P&G appears on the page. So, you know, if you search for the best shampoo, there is no P&G there. If you search for, you know, first-time mother, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? So if there is no ad there, your business is doing really bad, because this is what people are interested in and you don't show, right? So today, actually, P&G is one of our top 10 advertisers in the US, as they should have always been, right? Based on simple analysis of that sort. It gets much more complicated than that. If you look at things like, I know we spoke about the economy in the morning, so I'll tell you very quickly that economically, even though growth is not going to happen, I dare to differ that as opportunities go away, other opportunities rise. So we are all aware of the collapse of the US automobile industry. A lot of people are saying this is the result of the economy. The automobile industry went down on searches that are interested in SUV, big trucks, big cars, and went very strongly up on hybrid at the same time that the US industry collapsed. And they continued to manufacture SUVs. Nobody was interested. Look at food. People don't stop eating. As a matter of fact, during the crisis, interest in food grew, that middle blue line. Just family restaurants grew much more than gourmet and expensive restaurants. Look at, what was this one? Even the real estate bubble. In the middle of the real estate bubble, people were only less interested by 20% in real estate. That's in the US where the bubble was really big. But they were so much more interested in rental. Rental grew. If you managed to switch your business from selling to renting, you made a lot of money. You can take that even further because behavior on jobs, for example, changed. So consumers start to ask for things related to jobs. As they do that, as you can see, the jobs category grows very strongly. And we take that and we actually apply economic models to it that we make available for free for you to predict what happens. So we've been able to predict the jobs report before it happens, 1 month before it happens, at a tremendous accuracy. We are the red line, the actual report is the black line. We predict sales of certain cars, certain automobile makes, and so on. Use data, marketing is changing, everything is changing. If you don't have the information, you're at a competitive disadvantage. The next one I'm going to go through very quickly. I think you understand that, but it's important for me in Czech because Czech is a leading country when you think about your economy is so based on export, right? And to me, it's so much more important that you think about what are you going to do with export because marketing is becoming very global. This ad from Evian water, I'm not going to play it because we don't have time, played in the French TV. It never played in the US. And when it played very little in the US, when you look at the map up there, the darkest place where a lot of people showed interest in the ad was in the US. It didn't cost Evian to make that investment, but global marketing now is happening so easily. You can be marketing your product today to countries you don't even know exists, just by using the right tools on the internet. I think the counter side of this is you have to understand that others are marketing in the Czech Republic just as we speak. They're selling through the internet products that you're supposed to be selling. Finally, I'll go to the point around, so what is the right answer? I'll just go back quickly to the to search, for example. So if you think about how people behave if you invest in a TV campaign today. If you invest in a TV campaign, we ran this study with Pontiac in the US back in 2007. When they ran their TV ad, the first thing people did is they went online and searched. Guess what was the #1 site they clicked on? Honda. Surprisingly, Pontiac was not on the list. So they literally were investing advertising to send people to the Honda website. You can see it. The blue spikes are the hourly searches and the red chart is when they ran their campaign, hour by hour. So it was very simple that they needed to blend their advertising together. Now, I think the most important message I will leave you with is that when I go and talk to CEOs about their marketing strategies or CMOs, they'll say, okay, you know what, this sounds big. We're going to increase our spend on the internet from 10 to 14%. That is the exact wrong answer, right? The right answer is, I'm going to blend my strategy so that when people are driving their cars in the morning, I'll catch them on radio. When they get to their offices, I'll catch them on the web in a certain way. When they're sitting in front of a TV, I'll catch them in a separate way. And when they react based on my advertising, I'll catch them on search. And the percentage doesn't matter. It's that blending that makes it work. I'll leave you with one of my absolute favorite ads that I have seen since I joined Google around that blending from BA, which by the way was OB's work.
Book by September the 26th at ba.com.
And every time I would bow to OB, I think it's brilliant. So they actually played this TV ad on the web, on TV, so played it in TV format, put it on the web, captured people on display when they were on travel-related site with banners and stuff, and when people searched or went to Google Earth, they actually saw the little cloud bubble that they could click on and take an action to see, to book that flight. That level of integration is, I think, what you need to think about. Whether you can put that on, the banner ad on Syndrome, or, the search ad on Google, or, a little bit on Sedm, and a little bit on TV, and a little bit on radio. I think this is really what it's all about. Find out what media is delivering the right efficiency for you, and use that. So with that, I'll come and talk to you a little later, and thank you very much for your time.